You know, looking back over these old investigations as I'm revising them, improving the sound, improving the video quality for you as I'm building this channel and building this collection in our paranormal flashbacks. It can be bittersweet. I have always had a very strong connection to the paranormal and what happens to our spirit, our soul, after our corporeal body passes on. And I would have never thought, when I first started having my memorable experiences with paranormal activity in the old farmhouse, that I would ever be an investigator. It was always a curiosity. But as I look back over these videos, especially the ones from the very beginning, when we were really green. I mean, I had investigated for a while, but it was only 5.5 years ago that I started making videos of my investigations so others could experience what I experienced. How green we were amazes me. 200 investigations ago, it really surprised me how I reacted to different things and how I still react. It has become such a way of life that I sometimes wonder why I don't get more frightened over things. When one of the devices says evil, demon, devil, malicious, it maybe I'm just not afraid to die. It's just fascinating looking over these old investigations and how I don't react with fear. It's more of a challenge to me. Today, we're going to take a look at one of our earliest investigations and one we've gone back to multiple times. I'm not going to do the norm and throw them all together because the video would be like 3 hours long. But I'm going to show the very first investigation at this historic cemetery in Niles, Michigan. The Brook Cemetery. This is not your regular cemetery. There is a lot of myth, legend, true crime, and history to this cemetery. Everything from suicides on the cemetery ground to murder on the cemetery ground to reinterred native bodies that were found during the construction of part of downtown Niles right on the St. Joe River, just a short ways north from where the old trading fort used to be before there was a Niles, Michigan. There's a lot I could say about this place. There's a lot I could say about this place. Over 20,000 graves and still growing. It started at 6 acres and now it's over 60 acres. Check this out. This is a good one. We're here at the Brook Cemetery right here in Niles, Michigan.
Mark was asking if he missed anybody. Was there any Civil War soldiers that he missed, that he forgot about? And he heard post.
Scanning.
Is there anybody here? Anybody that wants to talk? Anybody that wants to tell us about themselves? As with every good story, you must not forget the beginning to find the answers in the ending. Every town, every village has its own myths and legends. Some of these are steeped in fact, while others are just stories created to frighten the young. We will not forget our past. They help us to find the answers in our future. These are Paranormal Poppers, Paranormal Flashback. We're here at the Brook Cemetery right here in Niles, Michigan. Welcome to the next episode of Living History's Mysteries. There's a lot of myth and legend about this little park. And I say that loosely because if this thing is anything, it's not little. I'm seeing nothing but gravestones in every direction. There's a heck of a story to this place, but for that, I'm going to turn it over to Mark because he does all the research, and you guys know he's thorough. So I'm going to turn this over to him. All right, bud, it's all you. I'm going to go investigate.
All right, you have fun.
Yeah.
Watch out for those ghosts.
Oh, yeah.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mark. I'm the research historian for Living History Mysteries. Today, or this evening, I present to you Brook Cemetery, Niles, Michigan. It took me almost over 2 weeks of doing research on this cemetery. It is not a small cemetery. It is huge. Back in 1836, a guy by the name of George Bond purchased 6 acres to be used as a public cemetery. Today, it has over 60 acres, roughly over 20,000 are buried here to this day. Brook Cemetery was named for a brook that runs right through the cemetery. Pretty much the brook is going to be right in the middle of the cemetery between the old section and where the new section is at. So, like I said, this cemetery has been here longer since the state of Michigan has been founded in 1837. Like I said, this cemetery has lots of history. Prominent people, Civil War soldiers, revolutionary, War of 1812, including there's a Mexican war soldier buried here as well. There's reports of the cemetery hearing dismembered voices, moans, cries, screeching. So we're going to be looking into that as well. Also, this cemetery has also 2 people here that's been murdered in Niles. And also, there was a suicide that happened here right in Brook Cemetery, which we're going to be taking a look at that tonight. So come join us tonight. We're standing next to the gravesite of Frank Graves. Frank Graves, son of one-time Michigan Secretary of State William Graves, his dad. During the Civil War, he became the lieutenant colonel of the 8th Michigan. In 1864, fortunately, he got killed during the Battle of Wilderness. So, his brother-in-law, William Morrow, who's going to be on the other side of the grave, which we're going to be talking about a little bit. So, why don't you follow me, and then we'll talk about Henry Morrow. This is going to be Henry Morrow. This is the son-in-law to Frank Graves. Henry Morrow was the commander of the 24th Michigan during the Civil War. This one hits a little bit close to me because I was a reenactor for the 24th Michigan. So during the Battle of Gettysburg, he came in first day of the battle with 400 and some men, left the battle with 99 men to call the roll call at July 2nd. During the Battle of Gettysburg, he became wounded, but found his way back to his men that evening. So we're standing next to the next headstone here by the name of Anna Eisner. This is probably one of the most peculiar cemetery plots here in Silverbrook. As you can see, the rest of them are buried on the ground. This one is buried over ground. Why she wanted to be buried like this, no one really knows. So that's one of the mysteries of the cemetery. Why is she not buried on the ground? Anna, 18, she died tragically in a shipwreck in 1875 on board the ship SS Schiller. On the headstone over here, if you can see, you're going to see two horizontal torches displayed prominently right in the center. Over the years, people has mistaken it as witches' books. And then there was accusations going around that Anna was a practitioner of witchcraft. Many of them also thought that the upside down symbolizes extinguishing of life. That's what considered what the upside down torches was. During the years, they actually cemented the top portion of the stone so no one can actually get inside and see if she's actually buried or not, because there was vandals back then wondering, was she a witch? Did she have any ties to it? Did she have any witch paraphernalia stuff on it? So the parents decided to cement the whole stone itself. Here we're standing next to what is called a receiving vault. During the winter time, when there was a person that's deceased, the caretakers would actually put the body inside the building and wait until springtime when the ground gets thawed out to actually put them underneath the ground. It was constructed in 1869. What's interesting that you don't see too many receiving vaults that are still actually present in cemeteries of this day. Probably in this country alone, I think there's less than 10 left. Silverbrook Cemetery is one of those 10. So it's kind of interesting seeing what a receiving vault actually looks like. Here we're standing next to Aimable LaPierre. Mr. LaPierre, born in Montreal, Canada, came down to the U.S., resided in South Bend, Indiana, and him becoming a Mason by trade, he was in charge of building the very first church on Notre Dame grounds. After he built the church, he moved his family up to Niles, Michigan. During that time, he was very strong into being anti-slavery. And during that time, he helped escape several slaves. But then all of a sudden, he got arrested under the Fugitive Slave Law Act and got severely fined, almost lost his property, lost a lot of his money, but he was still a very, very generous man. He took his shirt off to a lot of the people in Niles. He gave contributions for a little bit of everything, and also built the first school in Niles, Michigan. Here I'm standing next to the grave site of Edward LaPierre, the son of Mabel LaPierre. Ed here was a very well-known jeweler of Niles. He was a Mason, a Knight Templar, also a Knight of the Maccabees. Now, on the night of November 29th, 1895, his son, Guy, was seeing some depression coming from his dad. He knew that his dad liked to wander around the cemetery early evening, so he and a friend of his came into the cemetery to look for the dad. At that time, they found his dad, Ed, killed with a .38 caliber bullet right in his head, which he committed suicide just a few yards north of where the entrance of the cemetery was located at. This is still considered a cold case, still open. People think that it was suicide by depression, but to a lot of people, this is another one of those great mysteries. Another good notable to mention in Brook Cemetery is Colonel Francis Quinn. Colonel Quinn was the commander of the 12th Michigan. 12th Michigan was the regiment that resided in Berrien County, Cass County, and Van Buren County. Now, Drew, if you could station your camera and point over to where Martin's is at. What we're looking at is the Martin's AutoZone and gas station area. That area back then, before this, during the Civil War, it was the training camp to the 12th Michigan. 12th Michigan was the local regiment that came from Berrien County, Cass County, and Van Buren County. So, Colonel Quinn was honored to be the superior overall commander of the 12th Michigan. During the Battle of Shiloh, 12th Michigan unfortunately was poorly led, and they were routed by the Confederate forces. After the battle, he was blamed and court-martialed, and after Shiloh, he resigned command because of what happened in the Battle of Shiloh. At the first post-war reunion, a resolution was passed when Colonel Quinn saw a lot of his soldiers, and at that time they wanted to brand him as a coward. Governor Austin Blair called Francis Quinn the worst colonel I've ever dealt with. So 2 years later, he died in Chicago. A lot of times when historian researches does their stuff, there's always a wrench being thrown. One person in particular, Dagmar Stigma, she's buried in this she's buried in this cemetery as well. Very little is known about where she came from. But what I did find out was she was Danish, born in Copenhagen. What I did find out for this person was she came to the U.S. to perform stunts off airplanes. While performing a routine exhibition in Niles, her equipment failed and was caught hanging from one of the reeds. The pilot flew over Barren Lake and instructed her to cut loose and fall into the lake. She misjudged the time and distance, and she cut herself over 200 feet from the lake itself. Above water, plunging headfirst into the lake. She died an hour later from her injuries. Other than that, there really isn't much. Like, why did she come all the way from Copenhagen to Niles? How did she get into stunt planes? That is a big mystery to this day.
I love it when Mark does his research. You never know what he's going to come across. But it's pretty much getting dark out here. You can still see some light in the sky, but the ground itself is really getting where we like it. So me and Cole, we've come back down here to the receiving vault that Mark was talking about earlier. According to the stories from the groundskeepers and the sexton and stuff here at the cemetery, this is where a lot of the disembodied voices, a lot of the noises, and a lot of the activities centered at. So for tonight, we're going to start the investigation right here at the receiving vault.
Scanning.
Is there anybody here?
Explosion.
Ocean. Anna died in the ocean. Soaked? Are you talking about Anna?
Or is this Anna talking? Anna, is this you?
Glory. I feel like this is somebody else we're talking to now. Possibly one of the soldiers that fought in the Great War between the states.
Malevolent.
Well, there's a good start off right there.
Wow. Okay. That's why the headaches were starting.
Yep, this is precisely why she was getting the freaky feeling and you were getting the headaches when you came out to investigate the other day. And it said malevolent, and the FM scanner completely quit scanning.
Last time 11 happened, you know how that went.
Who is malevolent?
Resent.
Resent. Can you explain resent? None of us have resents. We have no resentment.
You still there?
Are you still with us? Do you have anything else to say? We come to understand you better. Now this is real interesting. We shut off the camera for a second and the Paraloose said key ring. Christy's actually holding her keys on a lanyard over here. She has them in her pocket and she's kind of fiddling with them a little bit. So that was quite an interesting response. Who's here? Yeah.
and my friend in the stereo. With the with
Dead. Yes. Now, what really caught us off guard was here in just a moment you will hear the voice box say Waters. Just as it says that, Christy begins to choke and gag as if she's swallowing a bunch of water.
Waters.
There is a stream here. Yes, there is. Yes, you are correct about that. There is a stream here. It's odd. It's almost like it's trying to focus on something. Something closer than the door is. Watch what happens when I put my hand up here. See how it does that? So when something passes between it and the door, it automatically wants to adjust itself. So something is right there. Something is moving between us and that door. We can't halt. We do not halt. There are stories to tell about people like you, important people, people's lives. We come out here to tell those stories. Can you tell us who you are?
Voice.
You're just a voice? But whose voice? Whose voice am I hearing?
Lunatic.
Lunatic. We have no clue of the origin of this light. The receiving vault sits in a gully in the center of the cemetery. The nearest road is off to the side of this receiving vault, to the right of the screen. It's over 60 yards away. The nearest road facing this vault is over 150 yards away. Already, nightfall has not been that long, and we are getting a lot of voice phenomena. I've also heard some sticks cracking. The road is right there, like 60 yards away. And we'd be able to tell if anybody was moving off in that direction. There is activity here. Not seeing what I expected yet. It's not completely dark yet. I'm going to flip this back over to thermal. I just noticed this. All right, guys, we're not seeing a lot of activity right here at this facility, where they basically would store the body. What did it say?
Trouble.
Trouble. All I can say is, bring on your trouble. We don't back down. Sat. Well, Cole was sitting a few minutes ago. What the hell was that? What the hell was that?
Scanning.
Colonel, can you hear us? We'd like to talk to you, sir. What the hell? Why am I getting a red light to the right of that? That makes no sense. There's nothing there. I'm sitting here and I'm looking right over the top of the camera. Now here in just a moment, you will see a strange light anomaly, almost like a bar that flies around where we're looking. But if you listen closely, you will hear a distinct moan or wail as it's moving around. What's very strange is even after this anomaly vanishes out of sight, you will still hear this whistle or wail in the distance. Nothing there. Nothing there. Nothing there. Nothing there.
Malicious.
Malicious. Is that light evil? I can see it fading in and out, but it's not in my visual range with my naked eye. Now it's just gone.
So.
All right, guys, you were just telling me about when you were down by Anna's tomb doing an EVP. Now, what was it that happened with that EVP?
Mark was asking if he missed anybody. Was there any Civil War soldiers that he missed, that he forgot about? And he heard Post. So we went in search of somebody named Post. We found him. And
what can you tell us about Mr. Post, Mark?
Charles Post was with the 111th New York during the time of the Civil War, during the Antietam campaign. Their regiment, along with the 128th New York, was stationed at Harper's Ferry. There's a big weapons garrison over there. Colonel Jackson's brigade surrounded both those regiments, took a great amount of prisoners. During that time, they were considered the Harper's Ferry's cowards. Prisoner exchange was still going on during the early Civil War, and they were gathered up and were sent to Camp Douglas in Chicago, Illinois, wait for exchange. During that time, while waiting for exchange, they were dealing with the harsh winter of Chicago. Lake Michigan, windy, all the elements you can think of.
And he died during that winter.
Yep. On a good note, the 111th redeemed themselves during the Battle of Gettysburg on the third day of the battle.
Interesting. All right, guys, we're going to move this down to Anna Eisner's tomb real quick and see what we can come up with our equipment. I want to know if she was really a witch. All right, guys, we're back here at Anna Eisner's tomb. I'm going to go on and get the devices up and running. We're going to see if maybe she'll communicate with us.
Scanning.
Anna Eisner. Can you hear me? Anna, can you tell me about the ship? Can you tell me about the Schiller? Tell me what happened? It's got a very distinct orb
6.
coming down the length of her tomb, right towards the cameras. 6. What about 6, Anna? ground is consecrated to their memory. On December 31st, 1973, construction work disturbed the Potawatomi Indian burial mound located near the St. Joseph River in St. Joseph Township, Berrien County. The remains transferred and reburied here on November 2nd, 1974. Come to you with the utmost respect. If you would talk to us, it would be appreciated. All right, guys. I haven't done that in a long time. I wish they were back out in the cemetery out here in Dowagiac. I don't know if they're Pokagon band, but at least they'd be around their people. But it's starting to rain, and I'm gonna call tonight. I gotta get a hold of Mark and have him come and pick me up. I asked him to please leave while I done this ceremony. It belonged just me and them. not how I like to end my investigations, but they're at rest, and hopefully they are with their ancestors, and they found their way after their remains were moved here. But we did locate some stuff tonight, and that was the main reason that I smudged the mound, the stone, was to help to purify it and cleanse it. But that's it for tonight. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll catch y'all later. Welcome back, guys. Like I said in the beginning, this cemetery holds a very special place in our hearts. We could go out there 20 times in a year and not cover this entire place. Over 20,000 graves on this 60 acres, right? Just a hop, skip, and a jump from downtown Niles, Michigan. The history of this place is fascinating. The spirits, the entities, whatever you want to call them, are eager to communicate. They're eager to warn you when something potentially dangerous is near. It just fascinates me how these legends, these myths, these stories grow over time. The possibility of a guardian spirit around the native mound. That native mound still breaks my heart. They held these bodies for almost a year when they were found down along the river, when they were breaking ground for that new building. And when the city finally decided they were going to build a new burial mound at Silverbrook and reinter the bodies, it broke my heart. Still breaks my heart. What about the suicide? Why? Why on the grounds of the cemetery? Why were the couple murdered on the grounds of the cemetery? Just a couple out for a walk. How about Anna Eisner, the Niles witch? What's the true story there? Her own family said she was a practitioner. There's a lot of questions that remain unanswered. And we're not done there yet. We'll be going back. It's going to be interesting. Hope you guys enjoyed this edition of Paranormal Flashback. I'm going to get back to work. There are investigations planned. There's a lot happening. There's a lot happening. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. God bless you. God love you, we do. Happy hunting.